completed in our hope because they executed his honor, but it was not faithfully and fully executed.
It is no longer news that corruption has over the years eaten deep into the fabrics of the nation's society. The present administration, however, has the political will to reverse the trend through various probes, discoveries and return of some looted funds. It is in these directions that the Alliance for Credible Elections believes that in the fight against corruption, every voice must be heard. 6 states representing each of the geopolitical zones were chosen in the first phase of the project with a view to providing information on the performance, status and outputs of their capital projects for the year 2015.
We are building a movement across Nigeria against corruption, bringing everybody, especially the stakeholders, the traditional rulers, all the people in charge in the communities involved, building the movement. We're also training them, empowering them with capacity to engage our politicians, our appointed and elected representatives on the issues of corruption. And for us to do that, we needed to start with the federal tracking of constituency projects, capital projects. We chose year 2015 because year 2016 capital budget was not released on time, and even the implementation spread over to year 2017.
The outcome of the study is expected to block fiscal leakages, reduce corruption, enhance accountability and transparency in the implementation of capital budgets. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Developing drones regulations that will enable Africans in the Indian Ocean harness the socioeconomic importance in the use of remotely piloted aircraft systems took center stage at the International Civil Aviation Organization Symposium holding in Abuja. Stakeholders in civil aviation from different parts of the world are expected to share their experiences in addressing the challenges of unmanned aircraft. Emmanuel Ayimiro has details.
In the past, countries relied on satellites to track certain activities, but today, drones, which are cheaper to acquire, are being used to carry out different tasks, considering the low altitude, which provide clearer pictures for quick analysis. However, controlling the use of drones is yet to be supported by existing laws in most countries.
We also are well on the way to building the regulatory framework that will facilitate international operations conducted in accordance with instrument flight rules. This work program, when complete, will provide the basis for a certificated, remotely piloted aircraft to operate in sequence with manned aircraft.
To invite the African aviation community to steer clear of rejecting the growing RPAS and UAS activities in Africa, as this should not be viewed as threats to the safety of the current air navigation operations.
The government, through Civil Aviation Authority, is establishing a remotely piloted aircraft safety team. They will also develop mitigation strategies to address these threats and prevent future accidents.
The symposium is to provide ACAO and its member states the opportunity to advance aviation priorities in the African region with ACAO's policy on no country left behind. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
And the House Ad Hoc Committee on Automobile Industries, Non-Access to Foreign Exchange and Bailout Funds has been identified as... Sorry, I'll take that again. The House Ad Hoc Committee on Automobile Industries says non-access to foreign exchange and bailout funds and consistency in government policies are panaceas for economic resuscitation. This was during the ad hoc committee's oversight to some automobile industries in Lagos. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim has the report.
The inspection tour to some of these automobile industries reveals that the hope of having made in Nigeria cars from beginning to finish is not yet in sight. Faced with challenges of inability to access foreign exchange, high interest rates, lack of subsidiary industries, inadequate basic infrastructure and high cost of production, the automobile industries operating in the country are now struggling to remain in business. This situation remains the reason for skeletal operation by these automobile companies, while they continued to import raw materials, even those that could be sourced locally. Worried that opportunities for more job creation are being lost and local content reduced, the ad hoc committee challenged these automobile assembling plants to take advantage of the country's huge market potentials, manpower and raw material deposits to expand their businesses for economic viability.
One of the reasons we are here is just to see how we can help this industry to grow. And how can we help them to grow is to come up with a policy that will make the environment conducive. No diversification can take place without transportation.
The ad hoc committee is also proposing a public hearing for major players in the industry, where all issues raised will be streamlined for a total revamp of the transport industry for national development. From Lagos, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The effort by Nigeria to build a robust tax system has been described as a commendable move that will enhance the capacity of government to provide essential services to Nigerians. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, advised that the drive to widen the tax net must trace wealthy individuals who have evaded tax over the years. Gufan Shaji tells us more.
The current level of tax compliance in Nigeria is set to be low, and in some cases, the effective tax rate paid is also low compared to other countries. Consequently, the guest said there is a need to review tax to GDP ratio, noting that revenue mobilization is critical to the success of Nigerians' economic reform agenda.
Now, why should they pay tax? It's basically to empower governments to provide all the things that you and I require: infrastructure, healthcare, education. Now, in terms of the economic impact it has, anytime you empower a government, either at the federal level or the state level, to carry out more projects, they give those contracts out to local businessmen. Those local businessmen or contractors employ people to carry out those functions. You want to build a new road, they have to employ people to carry that out. You want to build a school, they employ people. So there's a multiplier effect.
So the clarion call is declare your income, declare your assets, and pay the tax that is due on them.
Beyond trying to expand the tax net in order to enhance compliance, the critical factors that also matter is the fact that the tax laws also have to keep pace with the realities of our time.
The need to also deploy tax investment to stimulate the private sector, as well as adopt modern techniques in the tracking and taxing of consumption, was also raised.
When we talk about tax, there is too much emphasis on revenue. We also need to use tax or tax policy to also stimulate investment. We need to encourage private sector to create more jobs. We need more investment. We need more investors. We need to target sectors in which government cannot fund, like infrastructure, for instance. We're talking of power, we are talking of roads, and we are talking of private sector participation in all these areas.
They also reiterated that tax payment is part of the social contract between government and the people, and the most effective measure to enhance compliance is the knowledge that tax revenues are being utilized effectively for the development of the people. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
The need to build a great nation on true federation has again been stressed. This came to the fore in a panel discussion on possible future for Nigeria. Omenka Amarachuku reports that it was the subject of discussion at the Feast of Barracuda, organized by the National Association of Sea Dogs.
Of Barracuda is a long-standing tradition of the Pirates Confraternity, which provides a forum for analyzing particular nagging socio-political issues and seeking solutions. The focus was on the importance of tackling the root causes of socio-political ills and the need for harmonious coexistence among Nigerians.
Must learn from the mistakes of the past and improve on it.
On whether the National Association of Sea Dogs is a secret cult, members of the association said from its humble origin at the University College Ibadan, Pirates Confraternity has grown into an international charity organization with presence in up to 30 states of the Federation.
The names are being used, and I recall in 2014, where the spirit was very high, mostly in the Western universities, where some group of hoodlums gathered themselves to say that they were sea dogs under the name of Ahoy Boys. We immediately came out with a press release.
National Association of Sea Dogs, also known as the Pirates Confraternity, started in 1952 at the University College Ibadan as a student organization which had as its main aim the quest for a just, egalitarian and decolonized society. In Abuja, Omenka Amrachuku, NTA News.
And the need to rekindle the spirit of patriotism among Nigerians to sustain the drive for national integration, growth and development has been brought to the fore. This was at a media conference by Project Nigeria First, held in Abuja. Project Nigeria First says it supports restructuring that will engender a system of government that guarantees transparency, accountability and equal opportunities.
Of indifference on the part of the followership is responsible for the level of corruption in governance. Our commitment as a people is what drives how we are governed and what can reinforce institutions to enforce their obligations and regulations.
To say Nigeria first. Let us first come together as Nigeria, then we come together to discuss our problems, and then we stay together to proffer solutions.
Commending the landmark achievements of the present administration, the group prayed for speedy recovery of President Muhammadu Buhari. National Assembly on Local Government Autonomy. This and more as we join Ademola in our Lagos Network Center for more reports. Hello Ademola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Phil. Good afternoon and welcome to Lagos. Members of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, and Medical Health Workers Union of Nigeria want the National Assembly not to list management of primary schools and primary health centers as exclusive responsibilities of the local government in the proposed amendment of the 1999 Constitution. The three unions staged a peaceful protest in Lagos to draw home their position on the proposed local government autonomy at the National Assembly retreat on constitutional reforms. Annie Daniels has the details.
Teachers and workers from various public organizations across Lagos stormed the venue where the Senate and Federal House of Assembly on the review of the 1999 Constitution were holding their retreat. Their mission was to express their views on the proposed local government autonomy. Though the bodies are not opposed to it, they are, however, agitating that public schools and organizations be exempted. They are of the view that local councils do not have the financial muscle to manage public institutions.
1994 and thereabout, local government was charged with the responsibility to control primary education. What was the result then? Strike, era of crisis, unpaid salaries.
You may not have general hospital in an area, but you have primary health care center. These are manned by primary health care workers who belong to Medical and Health Workers Union.
They advocate the establishment of a primary health care commission at the federal level, with public primary school teachers' salary as first-line charge on federation accounts.
And by so doing, the three tiers of government will be...
We apologize, we are having some issues from that center. We'll continue now from here as we tell you that the Nigerian Air Force has recorded another feat in its research and developmental drive with the manufacturing of an anti-skid braking system test bench for its fighter jets. The equipment was manufactured in collaboration with the University of Maiduguri Engineering Department. Isaac Kunkuma reports.
The Alpha Jet is an invaluable asset to the Air Force for its operations, especially interdiction missions. It is equipped with an anti-skid braking system which provides maximum brake performance on all types of runway surfaces, and improves landing safety under wet conditions, as well as slow down the speed of the aircraft while maintaining its power. This system allows the pilot to apply full brake pedal force on landing without fear of wheel lockup or skidding. The function of the test bench is to simulate the performance of principal components of the anti-skid braking system on the fighter jets for maintenance and repairs in achieving optimal performance.
I'm very happy to say that the capacity building program we are putting in place is actually making us to be more effective and more efficient in the discharge of our responsibilities. I want to tell the Vice Chancellor and his entourage that we are moving this test bench immediately to the northeast.
With the delivery of this test bench developed for the new generation of Alpha jets, the Chief of Air Staff is optimistic that all unserviceable anti-skid systems on the fighter jet fleet will be repaired, and the Memorandum of Understanding with the University of Maiduguri will open up new frontiers in aerospace engineering in the country using local content.
You are yet to see the best of the University of Maiduguri. I want to assure the Nigerian Air Force that we have already taken your suggestions for the establishment of an aeronautic engineering department very, very seriously.
In the meantime, the Air Force has received another patent right from NOTAP for the production of unmanned ground vehicles, especially for inspection and movement of IEDs to disposal sites. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Protection monitors across the states affected by insurgency and related crises have converged on Yola, Adamawa State, to review and find solutions to the protection gaps in human rights abuse against internally displaced persons. Ladi Bala reports that the meeting, organized by the National Human Rights Commission for Refugees, is expected to come up with a new map of intervention for relevant stakeholders in humanitarian services.
In every humanitarian crisis situation with adverse effects on the victims who are forced on mass exodus to unknown places in search of shelter and loss of means of livelihood, human and protection rights abuses abound. With hundreds of thousands as IDPs across affected states, the National Human Rights Commission, in partnership with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, came up with a project aimed at monitoring and reporting protection issues relating to population concerned in 2015. The representative of the Acting Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Ojukwu, who lauded the role of the monitors and partnership with UNHCR, noted that addressing the gaps requires multi-sectoral approach and commitment of all stakeholders.
The outcome of what we are going to do here for these 2 days will determine the future of the project.
Some of the protection monitors who spoke to NTA News identified poor situation of shelter, food, and access to education by children of the IDPs as major gaps that require urgent intervention. In Yola, Ladibala, NTA News.
Meanwhile, in order to confront the contemporary challenges on human rights violation affecting mostly the displaced persons, the National Human Rights Commission has organized a high-level training to strengthen capacity of its staff. Usman Aliyu was at the workshop and now reports.
Inculcating the right standards informed the National Human Rights Commission and the Human Rights Agenda Network, a non-governmental organization, to engage their staff for a 4-day training to prepare participants on the requisite skills on advanced monitoring, investigation, documentation, as well as prosecution on cases of human rights violations.
We want to strengthen the capacity of the staff to be able to handle human rights violation issues that come from our activities in the Northeast.
So in order to process that high number of complaints, you need very high professional competence, and that is what we're trying to respond to by this training.
What is important here is to see how we can share, we are going to share our own experience in terms of monitoring, documentation, investigation of human rights violations. So colleagues from the South Sudan Human Rights Commission.
Participants would be engaged in processing reports from the civil society monitors in Adamawa, Borno and Yobe states on cases of abuses on the rights of internally displaced persons. The workshop is also expected to enhance participants professionally. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
And still staying with the welfare of IDPs, the federal government has continued to make its presence felt in various IDP camps in Borno State through intervention initiatives implemented by government agencies. And the latest of such was the presentation of relief materials to widows and households at the Teachers Village IDP camp in Maiduguri by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Mohammed Ibrahim has this report.
This is Shetima Ali Mongono Teachers Village Camp, which houses more than 8,000 IDPs from Ngala and Kuka local government areas of Borno State. This food distribution, launched by the Federal Commission and National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Sadia Umar Farouk, is targeting 1,200 households, the elderly as well as widows.
The federal government has been there. Since I came on board, we've been giving interventions to the northeast that have been affected by this insurgency. You know, the commission is being guided by appropriation. So whatever is being appropriated to the commission has been spent judiciously to this people.
The Federal Commissioner added that a lot still needs to be done by government and non-state actors to cover the gap of needs of victims of insurgency, as well as ensuring proper coordination of assistance to have the desired impact. A total of 1,725 and 12 kilograms bags of beans were distributed to beneficiaries by the Commission. Some of the beneficiaries expressed gratitude for the gesture, which they said would go a long way in augmenting feeding requirements in the midst of short supplies. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
And we rejoin our Lagos network studio now for the stories trending there. Ademola, it's back to you.
Thank you, Phil. A warm welcome back to Lagos. Members of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees and Medical Health Workers Union of Nigeria want the National Assembly not to list management of primary schools and primary health centers as exclusive responsibilities of the local governments in the proposed amendment of the 1999 Constitution. The three unions staged a peaceful protest in Lagos to draw home their position on the proposed local government autonomy at the National Assembly retreat on constitutional reforms. Annie Daniels has the details.
Teachers and workers from various public organizations across Lagos stormed the venue where the Senate and Federal House of Assembly on the review of the 1999 Constitution were holding their retreat. Their mission was to express their views on the proposed local government autonomy. Though the bodies are not opposed to it, they are, however, agitating that public schools and organizations be exempted. They are of the view that local councils do not have the financial muscle to manage public institutions.
1994 and thereabout, local government was charged with the responsibility to control primary education. What was the result then? Strike, era of crisis, unpaid salaries.
You may not have general hospital in an area, but you have primary healthcare center. These are manned by primary healthcare workers who belong to Medical and Health Workers Union.
They advocate the establishment of a primary health care commission at the federal level, with public primary school teachers' salary as first-line charge on federation accounts.
And by so doing, the three tiers of government will be forced to participate financially in funding primary education because of its sensitivity to us.
The lawmakers, however, promised to look into their grievances with a view to arriving at a conclusion.
We need to do further consultation with the National Union of Teachers and other stakeholders before we can take the decision on that. We will not jeopardize the payment of teacher salaries.
And that's the reason why we must take their protest very seriously too, in considering amendment of the Constitution that will affect, either directly or indirectly, their interests.
In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
The Coalition of Civil Society Against Corruption has urged the Senate not to be involved in the allegation of corruption against the Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Usman Yusuf. The group made a call at a media briefing in Lagos. Nosa Osula reports.
The leader of the group, Raji Oyewumi, said the group was disturbed by the torrent of unfolding events and mind-blowing revelations of corrupt practices in all key sectors of the country, adding that they are undoubtedly optimistic that if the President Muhammadu Buhari administration's drive against corruption is sustained, the country will no longer be a safe haven for looters.
He bought a Toyota sports utility vehicle at the cost of 58 million naira without no approval. He approved fictitious training within and outside the country to the tune of 600 million naira. He also approved 150 million for banned items like promotional materials and souvenirs as against President directive.
The group also called on acting President Yemi Osinbajo to comb other agencies of the government and ignite the passion for constructive restructuring and reviewing of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Mr. Yusuf, as it concerns this issue, needs to avail himself of those allegations by going before the panel that is investigating the case, not trying to lobby the House of Representatives.
The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, had on July 7th directed Yusuf to proceed on 3-month suspension. The suspension, which is to allow for an uninterrupted investigation, was with immediate effect. The minister also directed the setting up of an investigative committee to look into the allegations in accordance with the public service rules. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has approved the suspension of the Baale of Shangisha in Magodo, Chief Yusuf Ogundare, for faking his kidnap, which allegedly took place on the 5th of July this year. Nusa Osula reports that the state government also announced the unconditional release of the 6 kidnapped children from Igbonla Model College, Ekpe, since the 25th of May this year.
Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Adeniji Kazeem, who demanded the unconditional release of the students at the State House, Ikeja, while the ballet was being paraded, said it was disheartening that while the state government and security agencies were working round the clock to secure the release of the children, some unscrupulous persons deemed it fit to raise false alarm.
But let me sound a very strong note of warning that we have zero tolerance for crimes against the state. In fact, any form of crime, especially crimes like this. And I can assure you that once this investigation is concluded and the appropriate files are brought to my office, if it is clearly found that these people are culpable, the full weight of my office will be brought to bear.
The State Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owosheni, assured residents that security agencies will not rest on their oars in ensuring that the state remains safe and secure for residents and investors.
It is sad that people that are entrusted with our traditional values, the custodian of tradition and culture, would come out to do this just for the sake of wanting to embarrass the state and embarrass the government.
The ballet was paraded alongside his suspected accomplice, Mohammed Adams, by the police. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
And that does it from Lagos. It's back to you, Phil, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Demola. Now, you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. And time now to pause for some messages, and Nationwide returns shortly after. Stay with us.
The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, invites all state commissioners, permanent secretaries and directors of information, professionals and stakeholders in the information sector to the second Extraordinary National Council on Information. Theme: Hate Speeches, Fake News and National Unity. Chief Host, Right Honorable Barrister Simon Bako Lalong, Executive Governor of Plateau State. Date: 20th to 21st July 2017. Venue: Eliel Center, Gold and and Base, Jos, Plateau State. Time 8 a.m. prompt. Program of events Thursday 20th July 12 noon to 6 p.m. Arrival and registration of participants Friday 21st July 8:30 to 9 a.m. Registration continues Friday 21st July 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Council meeting. Hussaini W. Daya, Acting Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, announcer.
The impact of climate change on the nation's food security is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live, as experts proffer solutions for best practices. NTA Tuesday Live, educative, informative, and incisive. Don't miss it.
Of African children cannot afford to go to school because they live in poverty. Instead of enjoying education and its benefits, they get involved in street trading to help themselves and their families survive. The Rochas Foundation is a humanitarian organization which currently caters for over 15,000 less privileged children in her various schools all over Nigeria. The foundation's vision 2030 is to educate 1 million less privileged African children from secondary school to the university. Admission forms are currently available online and at all First Ladies' offices in the 54 African countries. Interested candidates must possess a first school leaving certificate, be less than 14 years old, and must be genuinely unable to afford education. Religious organizations and NGOs are encouraged to recommend candidates. Rochas Foundation. Every child counts.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured, especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
You fall victim because you care about saving a little money.
When I'm not blind, I'm not stupid. I'm here to cross over and take Sole, ferry ship.
You fall victim because you care about your car.
What is it? Smoke. Smoke.
They cash in on your fear.
A dangerous road they so then they rob people, they keep it for years.
And they point.
You get one to and I get it done by go call them.
This week, your rib-cracking comedy, Professor John Bull, dwells on roadside wars of the people in this episode titled Point and Kill. We are not talking about fish. Beware.
This is impetuous. This is prodigious. This is wondrous.
And laugh like never before.
How dare you enter my house without at least knocking?
Why are you trying to become my dear sweet professor?
I am sweet Abednego.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow.
The largest data network. Glow Unlimited.
Sharon Ultimate Hotels, Abuja. The ultimate place to be.
The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, invites all state commissioners, permanent secretaries and directors of information, professionals and stakeholders in the information sector to the second Extraordinary National Council on Information. Theme: Hate Speeches, Fake News and National Unity. Chief host, Right Honorable Barrister Simon Bako Lalong, Executive Governor of Plateau State. Date: 20th to 21st July 2017. Venue: Eliel Center, Gold and Base, Jos, Plateau State. Time: 8 a.m. prompt. Program of events: Thursday, 20th July, 12 noon to 6 p.m. Arrival and registration of participants: Friday, 21st July, 8:30 to 9 a.m. Registration continues Friday, 21st July, 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Council meeting: Hussaini W. Daya, Acting Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Announcer.
Thanks for staying on to Nationwide on NTA. Presidential Committee on Northeast visits Kaduna. Let's join Zule in our Kaduna Center for details of this and other stories from that zone. Hello, Zule. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Phil. Good afternoon and welcome to Kaduna. In line with President Muhammadu Buhari's vision to turn around the lives of people affected by insurgency in the Northeast, the Presidential Committee on the Northeast has made education a priority. To this end, 2,000 children whose education were cut short due to the insurgency were selected and redistributed to schools across Nigeria. Some members of the committee were on a periodic visit to some of the students at the Federal Government College, Malaria, Kaduna. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
The attack was many times. When we want to leave the local government and the Boko Harams, some of them are telling us that don't go to Maiduguri.
Each of these students from different parts of the Northeast has a terrifying story to tell, but their nightmare has been transformed into dreams and aspirations to better the lot of their communities.
I want to be a medical doctor because I want to help my people.
Thanks to the Presidential Committee on the Northeast, which is implementing the vision of President Muhammadu Buhari.
These students were particularly picked from the three states of Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe, where education in the previous years has been very, very devastated.
This visit to the Federal Government College Malaria, Kaduna is made periodically to assess the welfare and performance of some of the 2,000 children selected from across the Northeast to transform their lives through education. 81 were brought to the Federal Government College Malaria, Kaduna.
When they came in, the school had to put aside the curriculum, curriculum, and now started teaching them from the scratch.
With some already scoring high points in the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination, analysts say the President's vision for the children of the Northeast is coming to pass. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
An organization championing the cause of peace has organized a peace and reconciliatory meeting of stakeholders in southern Kaduna to chart ways of fostering unity in the area. Lois Anthony's report is here presented.
Global Peace Foundation has been holding series of meetings with stakeholders in southern Kaduna, resulting in the birth of Southern Kaduna Peace and Reconciliation Meeting. The conveners noted that the meeting aims at resolving existing differences.
People have realized that they need one another and they need peace for development. You can see from what everybody was expressing, people want to move forward. Now what we've just done today is to say, okay, the road is here, let's drive on that road. A road to peace, a path to stability, a path to sustainable development.
Representatives of Christian Association of Nigeria and Jamaatul Nasir Islam appeal to both Christians and Muslims to admit their faults and seek forgiveness, hoping that the incessant attacks will soon be history. In attendance at the meeting in Kafanchan were leaders and representatives of Southern Kaduna People's Union, Miyati Allah Cattle Breeders Association, Jamaatul Nasir Islam, Christian Association of Nigeria, Jama Foundation, chiefdoms, and communities affected by the clashes.
And now to security matters. In an effort to enhance the security of lives and property, the Nigerian police says it will provide a divisional police office in Rijana along Kaduna-Abuja highway. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, stated this while inspecting the security personnel deployed to the area. Ahmed Muhammad Usman reports.
On the 1st of June 2017, Nigerian police deployed about 600 security personnel from various commands to Abuja-Kaduna Expressway in a bid to comb the suspected hideouts of kidnappers operating along the expressway. The operation carried out within the period led to the successful arrest of some kidnappers and their gang leaders. The visit by the Inspector General of Police was to encourage the officers and men and also rub minds with the affected communities on ways to end the incessant kidnapping in the area.
Increase security along this area. Of course, you can hear some of their complaints. They need a police station. They need their children to be recruited into the police. And I promise them we are going to do that.
Some community leaders express happiness with the move, which they say will enable them sleep with their two eyes closed.
If they just kidnap some people, they will just ask that person to come and give or to collect the ransom money in Rijana. But the people that are kidnapping people, they are not living in here in this Rijana.
From Kaduna-Abuja Highway, Ahmed Muhammad Usman, NTA News.
Meanwhile, there is a significant decrease in the prevalence of human rights abuses in the process of discharging responsibility in the ranks of the Nigerian police. This was disclosed at a training workshop for divisional police officers from Yobe and Kaduna states. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
Brutality and various other forms of human rights abuses by the police has brought about a bitter relationship between the police and the public. But this remains in the past. This is because the police has continued to adopt and implement acceptable principles of human rights in carrying out its operations. This training workshop for divisional officers is expected to make the police a force with human face.
A lot of litigations has reduced. No more litigations. What we call garnish orders. When they used to sue the police here and there for police inactions and actions, it's just a thing of the past. We don't have it again.
The training workshop is facilitated by the European Union, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the Swiss Embassy, and GIZ.
Once you have DPOs trained on human rights, it will trickle down because as soon as we are done, they have their own system, which we are also supporting to ensure that they do this training, trickle this training to other junior officers.
For the divisional police officers, the training workshop is apt.
What I have in mind as of now, or after the break, is to at least create a kind of sensitization and awareness to the community.
The facilitators of the training workshop reiterated their commitment to take the message of human rights to all cadre of the Nigerian police. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
And that's it from here. We're back to Abuja for the rest of Nationwide. Good evening.
Thank you very much from Kaduna. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has advised consumers of petroleum products across the country not to engage in panic buying as a result of the fire incident which occurred in the early hours of Saturday at a tank farm at Calabar Free Trade Zone in Cross River State. NNPC wishes to assure that the unfortunate fire incident at a private tank farm had not affected its operations and that the corporation's stock holding was robust. NNPC says it has over 40 days sufficiency for petrol and adequate volumes of diesel and kerosene to meet consumers' demand nationwide. Therefore, it is pointless to engage in panic buying, the statement says. NNPC Group Managing Director Dr. Mekanti Baru received briefs on the incident, expressed regrets over the unfortunate loss of life in the inferno. The GMD consoled the families of those who lost their loved ones in the incident, advising communities in the areas of oil and gas operations to always exercise caution and be vigilant at all times. Time now to join our Benin Network Center with Agatha standing by to bring us the next set of stories.
Thank you, Madam Phil. Good evening and welcome to Benin. Omogodun Obaseki wants the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, to join his administration in the ongoing effort to instill in citizens the right attitudes to maximize resources of the state. This was when executive members of the Edo State chapter of the association, led by its chairman, Mr. Felix Ahonsi, paid them a courtesy visit at the government house. Goodluck Inaini reports.
Obaseki, who stressed the need for attitudinal change among the people, particularly in the areas of maximizing resources, said his administration will not borrow for frivolities. He promised to partner the association in that regard.
Should I take taxpayers' monies to pay for frivolous recurrent expenditures? Should we? No. I'm using what my predecessor left. I've got the lady mechanic into government house. I've got all old government vehicles. We'll refurbish them for our use. If I decided to spend money on vehicles, I won't have money to repair roads. We have started in government by signaling where we want to go to. We will not tolerate corruption. And so we're saying, let the change begin with each and every one of us.
Chairman of the state chapter of the association, Mr. Felix Ahonsi, commended the governor on the success recorded so far. In Benin, I am Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
The Etsunupe Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar has commended the cordial relationship existing between traditional rulers. He says it will ensure peace and development of the country. He said this when he paid a visit to the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Ewaye II. Steve Lonai Wankulu has details.
The Etsunupe, who is the Chancellor of the Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma, expressed gratitude to the Oba of Benin for the cordial relationship that has existed between them since he became the Chancellor of the university, assured of his determination to sustain the relationship.
We express gratitude and appreciation for the good relationship that existed since we have been given this opportunity to serve as the Chancellor of this great university by the previous government and the leadership of His Excellency
The Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Ewaye II, described the Etsunupe as a fine traditional ruler whose appointment as the Chancellor of the Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma, as a square peg in a square hole.
Thank you for your kind remarks, your historical insight into the ties between our two kingdoms and our families. I read the letter. Very pleased by it.
The coming together of the two traditional rulers was a reenactment of the relationship between the two monarchs. In Benin, Steve Lona and Waukolo, NTA News.
And to health matters now, wife of Edo State Governor Mrs. Betsy Obaseki has been named Edo State Net Ambassador by the State Committee on Long-Lasting Insecticidal Campaign LLIN 2017. Elizabeth Wotoma reports that as the face of the rollback malaria campaign, Mrs. Obaseki is expected to lead advocacy that will increase the use of insecticide-treated nets in the state.
The choice of the wife of the governor, Mrs. Betsy Obaseki, to be the face of the 2017 LLI Net Ambassador is in recognition of her role and support for the fight against child and infant mortality. Implementation partners of the rollback malaria campaign, chaired by the Deputy Governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, said 2.6 million mosquito nets are ready for distribution in the state in August this year. In her acceptance speech, Ms. Betsy Obaseki urged parents to use the treated nets to reduce death caused by malaria parasites.
Let me say that I'm deeply concerned that our communities are facing a high incidence of malaria. The nets truly protect all members of my family from mosquito bites.
The 2017 long-lasting insecticidal campaign is aimed at replacing the 1.4 million mosquito-treated nets distributed in 2012 and increase its usage from 30% to 80%. In Benin, Elizabeth Owotwoma, NTA News.
And the federal government has been urged to give priority attention to the rehabilitation of federal roads across the country, which have been described as death traps. Motorists plying the Ibilo-Okene highway made the appeal while speaking on the state of the highway, which is now in bad shape. Lorenta Efieduomo reports.
A visit to Ibilo-Okene Road revealed that commuters find it difficult to access the road as heavy-duty vehicles now fall on the road daily as a result of the dilapidating state of the road. Some motorists who commented on the state of Nigerian roads said they now spend days on the road on journeys that would have taken hours.
Look at it. This is the road I joined from here to the western part of Nigeria. It is not only this road. You could imagine if you are coming from Ibadan, you will see the death trap there. Series of death traps. See us, they dig this place as if they are digging borehole on the highway, federal government highway. It's a pity.
Very unfortunate. This road has been like this for the past 2 or 3 years. And people have been shouting. Up to now, no way. See how bad the place is now. All trailers, tankers, fuel, they pass through this road.
Since we have been coming from Abuja, the road is as bad as this. Don't let us talk. For long now, they tell even the bad government, they can help us out. See now, we not even see contact again for now. So with the waka. For long ago, make them help us, bad government, make them help us do the road for us.
Lorenta Efieduomo, NTA News.
That's our package. Back to Abuja for the rest of the news. And Madam Phil, so good, always good to see you.
Thank you very much, Agatha in Benin. We continue now with our foreign news segment, and Adebola Brookslyn Sunday is standing by.
Let's begin from Africa, where 3 people have been rescued so far after a Cameroonian army vessel carrying at least 35 people capsized off the country's southwest coast. Army source in a report indicates the soldiers from an elite military unit were on board when the boat went down between Limbe and Bakassi on Sunday. The unit's Rapid Intervention Brigade is at the forefront of Cameroon's fight with the Nigeria-based Boko Haram militants in the northwest. Rescue operations are still ongoing in the mishap attributed to rough sea conditions by government officials. Meanwhile, South Korea has proposed holding military talks with the North after weeks of heightened tensions following Pyongyang's long-range missile tests. A senior official in a report said talks should aim to stop hostilities that have raised military tensions at the fortified borders between the two countries. Though South Korea's President Moon Jae-in has long signaled he wants close engagement with the North, a proposal North is yet to respond to. In another development, more than 7 million voters have taken part in an opposition-organized referendum in Venezuela. According to academics monitoring the polls, voters strongly oppose government's plan for a new constituent assembly with the power to scrap the National Assembly and reunite the constitution. Venezuela is polarized between backers of President Nicolas Maduro and opponents who want fresh elections. The opposition blamed a paramilitary gang for the shootings, which prosecutors said they would investigate. And that wraps it up on this segment. The news